Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet, presented to you by Betway. I'm Adam Peddle, joined alongside Nicholas Paleolog, and today we're continuing our profiles and projections of all the MLB teams. Number 20 on this list. We're finally cracking into the next tier of teams. You've got the Tampa Bay Rays, who last year finally fell off a little bit and regressed to an 80-win total, but this year, are things different? They sold at the deadline. Are they going to rebuild around some of these young guys and get back that good pitching staff and win this year? We're going to break it all down. Before we do, hit that like button and subscribe to Bad for Baseball. So, Nick, give me your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Rays, and then tell me a little bit about what they've been doing this offseason, and what do you think about it?
So here's the thing, guys. I want to just preface this for everybody. I hate them, and there's going to be bias involved in this one. I try not to put as much bias into these as I can, but Tampa Bay just pisses me off because every single year we walk in, you look at their roster on paper, you go, who's that guy? Who is this guy? This team can't be good. And then they go and they win 90-plus games, and they make it to the playoffs. Yeah. Last year was the first year where I was actually right when I said they're hitting their under, because I say it every year, so eventually I got to be right.
Yeah.
And I was last year, so that makes me feel really, really good. But I just wanted to get that out of the way, guys, that this team pisses me off. In typical Tampa Bay Rays fashion, they lost several guys that I'm, very rarely familiar with. Now I do know Colin Posh. I've heard of him before. Tyler Alexander, gone. Never heard of Chris Davinsky, and I think I knew Dylan Carlson.
Yeah, he came from St. Louis.
Yeah, always never really hit the potential there. But anyways, they lost four guys that, aren't major guys for them.
Yeah, and I'll even throw these. They traded away Jeffrey Springs. He was a big guy for them.
That is actually kind of big for them.
And Jose Siri to the Mets. So those are actually some pretty big staples in their lineup that they lost. And then also you're kind of adding on to what they already did in the trade deadline, trading away Randy Arozarena, and Isaac Paredes. Remember that guy? Gone. So it's like they're not the same Rays as they were when they were winning 90 games in terms of the lineup and some of the bullpen arms.
No, they're not. Now, they did add, a decent chunk for Rays standards. They didn't end up getting Juan Soto, even though they were finalists right up until the very end. But they did bring in, now he's not projected in their lineup, Ha-Seong Kim. That's honestly a kind of a nice piece for them.
Yeah, that's like their ceiling of moves they make.
And I would argue that Ha-Seong Kim, now he's injured right now, but I'd say that this is the most Tampa Bay Rays guy that you could ever see. I mean, elite defense, good baseball intelligence, good base running, kind of a mid bat, but
great contact.
That's
puts the barrel on the ball.
Again, when Ha-Seong Kim's playing, he is actually a very good player, so I can't even hate it on them for that. That was a really nice move. On top of that, some other names, some bullpen arms here, and Drew Summers, Nathan Lavender, Mason Englard, Brandon Eisert. That one I actually know. They also, is there anyone else here that's actually important?
They also got Danny Jansen.
Danny Jansen. Yes, thank you. That guy is actually kind of important.
Yeah.
Danny Jansen's projected to bat fifth for them in their lineup. And you know what? As Toronto Blue Jays fans, Danny Jansen is actually pretty decent. Point being, though, there's a lot of baseball players on this Tampa Bay Rays baseball team that, you might not recognize because that's just the way that they do things.
Yeah.
And in years prior, like you said, Isaac Paredes, Randy Arozarena.
Don't say his name.
Yeah, right. Wander Franco's still on the Fangraphs thing. He's just on the restricted list. Should come back any day now. But no, in years past, they actually had some names that you're like, oh, damn. Maybe we could get behind that. Right now, it doesn't really feel like that's the case.
Yeah, in the lineup, they still got Yandy Diaz. He was having a great year the prior year. A little bit of a step back, but that's expected when you're 32. Now he's 33. But then you have Brandon Lowe right behind him, and he used to be a guy. Remember, we were always talking about Brandon Lowe. He was on that really cheap contract that they signed to him. We're like, wow, what a great deal. But, he's had some up and down years. Last year, though, not bad at all. His OPS was 783. He had a 2.2 WAR in 425 at-bats. Or plate appearances, excuse me. So you'll take that. But then after that, you start to get in some of the question marks and the underperforming guys. Junior Caminero is their prospect guy. He came up last year, like you said, as the 4th-ranked overall prospect underwhelming, I gotta say, to say the least, in his first not even full year. He had 165 at-bats, and he only had an OPS 723, and I look at some of the percentiles. Yeah, it looks like he hits the ball hard, but a lot of swing and miss. A lot of swing and miss. Is he going to improve upon that? Because the Rays kind of need that to happen. And then you keep going on. You got Josh Lowe, Danny Jansen, like we mentioned, Christopher Morel, who they got in the Isaac Paredes trade, Jonathan Aranda, Johnny DeLuca, not really sure, Taylor Walls, and it's a lot left to be desired in that Rays lineup, and you don't really know what you're going to get. Last year, they were 27th in average and 24th in on base, 29th in OPS. When I look at this lineup, Nick, I think they're probably going to be somewhere around there unless there's something I'm missing here.
I think that ultimately, to not be around there, you would be missing a Caminero breakout. And listen, I know that it was, not a great start for the kid, but we are talking about a 21-year-old right now that is, highly touted. So, I mean, you got to give him a lot more time. I will say that it is, I don't know, it's a lot to be just immediately slotting him in at the number 3 position. Granted, I guess the Toronto Blue Jays kind of did that, with Guerrero pretty soon after he came up. So, I mean, listen, that's the situation that you're in right now with Junior Caminero. So, for them, they do need him to really break out. You're probably looking for a bounce back from Yandy Diaz. Probably looking for a bit of a bump from Brandon Lowe, although we are 3 years removed from when he was really, really good at baseball, because he had 3 solid years from 2019 to 2021, and then since then it's kind of been a different version of the guy. But I mean, there is a route where this offense is decent, but I certainly don't I don't see a reality at all where this could ever be a top 10 offense. The best case scenario, I think, is that you see this Tampa Bay Rays offense finish 13th, 14th in baseball. That's with a lot of things going their way.
Yeah, because they're already at the bottom. If we like OPS here, if they're 29th in OPS last year,
pretty bad, man.
They need a lot to go right. I was curious to see in the past, when the Tampa Bay Rays are really, really good, what was their offense looking like? And I'm looking at just the OPS. In 2022, they were 24th in baseball. In 2023, let's see when it loads, they were 4th in baseball. So when they had everything clicking for them in 2023, they were 4th. And then that's what led to them having a really great year.
Now, I will give them a bit of credit here. They did still win 80 games last year. To win 80 games with the 29th ranked OPS.
We all know how they do that. It's the pitching.
Pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah. It's the pitching. The pitching, that's the thing with Tampa Bay Rays. Because let's break down this pitching here. The pitching staff is always going to be the reason why the Tampa Bay Rays are always going to be competitive, because they have the ability to not only develop well, scout really well, especially in other organizations. You'll see a lot of these pitchers are from other organizations, and they make all these minor trades for, whenever they have guys up on expiring contracts, they'll go, okay, we'll trade them to you, but give us this other random no-name loser that you don't care about, but we know we can turn him into a fucking superstar, right? So going through this whole Tampa Bay's rotation and relief pitchers, just to kind of look back last year, 10th in ERA on both sides, on the relief side and on the starting pitching side. So still good. Little bit of a step back because they were missing some pieces. One of the big guys they were missing was Shane McClanahan. He didn't pitch at all last year. He had Tommy John surgery. He's finally going to be coming back. Then they got Taj Bradley, Ryan Pepio, I don't really know how to say his name, but he was a young guy, 2nd year in the league. He was pretty good last year. Zach Littell, 5th year in the league, pretty solid. Shane Baz, always very good years from Shane Baz. And then Drew Rasmussen, that's a deep rotation. Again, you might go, I don't really know all those names, and they're not really popping off on me, but deep as hell, and it's huge for them, man.
Yeah, you look at somebody like Drew Rasmussen. He's been in the league for 5 years now. He hasn't always been a starter. There's definitely been times where they've pitched him out of the pen and everything like that. But did you know that Drew Rasmussen in 5 years has an ERA of 2.95?
I didn't, but I wouldn't be shocked if you told me that. Yeah.
Again, he only pitched 28 innings last year, so I think he was hurt. But again, this is somebody that when he's healthy at age 29, not an old guy, shouldn't be somebody that we're worried about with regression or anything. You could seriously get a year from him that's solid. In 2022, for instance, he pitched 146 innings with a 2.84 ERA. That's Drew Rasmussen.
Yeah.
They're six
know.
guy. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, you're right. Like you end up with these names that they're not sexy. Let's face it, probably nobody's gonna win the Cy Young here or anything like that. But
Shane
just
McClanahan.
as a group, you know what I mean? Like as a unit, they end up being a formidable rotation to go up against.
Yeah, and I straight up think the addition of Shane McClanahan is going to be very good. Like, we forget how good he was, and he's still 27.
Yes.
Like, he's still 27 years old. And when he was 25 years old in 2022, the dude had a 2.54 ERA, like 2.54.
No, he's never
ERA.
been bad. He's never been bad.
Like, it was phenomenal. Like, we forget how good he actually was. Strikeout per nine was out of this world. I think that's going to be a huge reason why they're going to be able to stay in ball games and win and convince this organization that, like, we're going to still be in it.
Right.
Like, all year, you're going to see the Rays, in my opinion, just hover. Again, especially in a weak American League, and I keep always going back to that. Anybody who gets any boost anywhere is going to be a dramatic difference.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes with the rotation and also goes with the bullpen. We know why. You know why Drew Rasmussen, Shane Baz, Little, Pepio, and Taj Bradley all have good numbers throughout all their careers? It's because they only let them go through the order twice.
Yep.
And that's why they're phenomenal, because then they bring in guys like Fairbanks, Uceta, Clevenger, Rodriguez, Montgomery. All these guys last year, a lot of them sub 2 ERAs, 2s, and low 3s. It's their bread and butter, baby.
As Blue Jays fans, we know that you'll end up in a series against the Rays in August, and it is the fifth inning, and somebody comes out that you've never heard of, and and they got 50 innings to their name of sub 2.5 ERA ball, and you're like, who in the fuck is this guy?
All he does is throw sliders.
Yeah,
and you're like, huh?
It's literally 90% is a slider, and they still can't hit it, right? So look, again, when you look at this Tampa Bay Rays team, every year you're like, do I believe in it? And somehow they find a way because of that pitching staff.
Yeah.
Now, their line is set at 81.5 wins. That is from Betway, everybody. If you guys want to go and, place your bet on either the over or the under, please hop on to Betway, knock it out of the park with those picks right there. 81.5 wins. They won 80 games last year.
Yeah.
What do we think? Offense, pitching staff, maybe a bit better. I don't know, man. I really don't know.
Well, I'm looking right now, and I was trying to think, I think if they keep their team all year, I like it. But that means they got to be right there in the picture, and I think they could probably still be there in the picture for most of the season. The one guy that they would trade away is Yandy Diaz, who has a club option next year for $12 million. Too much for the Rays, And then we're also forgetting they're going to get back Ha-Seong Kim too. That's a little welcome addition to that lineup. I think I said in my projections that the Rays were going to be good, and I'm going to have to stick by. I think they're going to find a way. They don't stay down too long. 81.5. That's the best line we've ever got for the Tampa Bay Rays.
It actually is, man.
I got to take the over, and they're going to find – I don't think they're going to be a playoff team or anything, but they're going to find a way to get over 500. That's for sure.
So here's the thing. I look at that division in the AL East, and I know that they've been capable of doing this in years past, but I'll tell you right now, I'm obviously going to say that the Yankees, Orioles, and Boston all get over 80 wins. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that Toronto gets over 80 wins just because I believe in it and I want it to happen. So then, now we have one more team. Do I think that all 5 American League East teams get over 80 wins?
It's possible.
I know it's possible, but I don't know if this is the year for that. I just don't know. Somebody's gotta be a hit down. Somebody's gotta be giving up the losses to these other squads.
They also face some other American League teams too, and that's the thing. And we didn't even talk about this. They're gonna be playing at the Yankees spring training facility in Tampa.
Right.
So that's another factor. I don't know the ballpark dimensions or anything, but if you're gonna be playing in this minor league spring training ballpark, there's a bit of an advantage if you've been playing there all season. You have a team come in once and they're like, "What the hell is this? I'm not used to this." The batter's eye out there is weird. The backdrop's weird. The environment's weird. I can't prep the way I'm supposed to. there might be a slight advantage
Yeah,
there.
there could be something there. Like this is definitely the best line, and like I'm very tempted to go over. I'm definitely very tempted, and I do think there's some strong arguments, but that offense blows, man. I'm going to go under, but it's going to be I'm going to say they win like literally 80 games
80 on the
game,
dot,
like something like that.
And that means all the teams
I
still
guess
get 80.
that would mean that, yeah. So it's going to be really, really close, but I'm going to go slight under. I think I've gone under for a lot of these teams. I'm going under a lot, man.
Yeah, that's okay. It means the overs are coming.
They're
upcoming, right?
Good teams are going to be really good. Bad teams are going to be really bad. I'm sure that always happens every year.
Yeah, right? Guys, let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about our over-under lines? Let us know. What would you do? Would you pick the over or the under? Please let us know, guys.
Yeah, please hit that like button. Smash the subscribe button. We will catch you in the next one.
Cheers.